Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Good morning, class, and welcome back to the Nerd Academy podcast, your source for nerddom news and commentary. I am your host and superior web headmaster, Jarod Bachman-Stubbs, and boy, howdy, do we news for you. I am not alone. I am, of course, joined by your resident Green Lantern, Professor Travis Grossman.
I would like to preface everything we're about to talk about with it is 8:45 on Tuesday, August 9th. In case by 9:45, if we're done talking by then, we find out that the first movie in the next DC 10-year lineup is Booster Gold.
Yeah, we'll get into the 10-year plan, and the thing that's so frustrating about everything we're about to talk about today is that it is largely going to be a circular conversation that you and I keep having. And it is going to go back to the horse that we have beaten into the ground by now. Of this is what happens when the second movie in your franchise is an amalgamation of the death of Superman and the Dark Knight Returns. Like, we are going to have shades of every conversation you've heard us have ad nauseum. But before we jump into that, and something that'll help with your nausea if you're a little hungover, we have some words from our lovely sponsors at sundaysbloodymary.com.
Does getting drunk again cure your hangover? Is that officially? Yeah. Okay.
That's why Bloody Marys are like the go-to hangover drink, because you're already bombed the fuck out when you wake up. So a little light, buzz going. I've never drunk them for that purpose. I'll drink a Bloody Mary in the middle of the day just because I think it's spicy and it tastes good. I've never used it as a hangover cure, even though I probably should have that one time at camp when I accidentally drank an entire bottle of watermelon Malibu, but that's beside the point. But SundaysBloodyMary.com has the most badass Bloody Mary accoutrement in the galaxy. They obviously got their 2-time award-winning spicy Caesar mix. They have their mild mix if the spicy is too spicy for you, and they have their traditional mix with no animal product whatsoever. Speaking of spicy, their special edition double spicy mix sold out in a day, and I didn't even get a chance to order any, and I am disappointed. But I'm glad they are doing well with that one. They also have their pickled dilly beans, okra, and asparagus for garnishes, as well as other accessories like their rim salt, shot glasses, and merch. So go to sundaysbloodymary.com/shop. Use code TNAP, TNAP at checkout. You get 10% off your order, and you help out your favorite nerds while you do it. I am going to keep talking through what I can feel is going to be a sneeze that's going to rock my insides. A little bit of housekeeping. Last week's episode, Red Carpet, where Spencer and I sat down with Eric Schwartzel, author of Red Carpet. Go check that out if you haven't already. It was a wonderful little chat we had with Eric. That was a great time. And I don't have a release date for you guys yet, but last night I sat down with Michael McCoy of All Remaining Systems, Alden Diaz from Octo Radio, and from the Fandom Menace and How We Got Here, and Dan Miller of Broaxium, and we recorded the first episode of Ionized Bastards, the Star Wars RPG show that Michael is putting on the All Remaining Systems YouTube channel. So we will obviously be sharing that to high heaven whenever it comes out. So keep your eyes out for that, and go support the homie Michael. He's written a handful of Star Wars short stories. It's called the Code Trilogy as well, because each one's like titled after a line in the Jedi Code. And the third and final one will also be coming out soon. I believe the final Code story comes out before the first episode of Ionized Bastards. So keep your eyes out for both of those. Go support the homie, Michael. And yeah, without any further ado, what the fuck is going on?
What isn't going on? Could you imagine? So when we would have been like supposed to talk about this, right? When it started, it would have been the classic. We hit stop recording, having only talked about Batgirl and nothing else.
Yeah.
And how like it just keeps piling up.
My gut told me last week, after we released the red carpet episode, and then the news came down about Batgirl, I was like, oh man, we should have done a news episode this week. And I went, you know what? I feel like there's going to be some other shoes that are going to drop here, and just wait. Just wait. And granted, Andor being delayed until September is, made me happier than a clam, because that means we get more time to do stuff like this before we get inundated with She-Hulk and Andor. Excited for both of those. The crunch that comes with it, not so much. But we're going to jump in to a Bloomberg article. This is where we're going to start. Very good at the business end of things here. This is from Lucas Shaw. This was published 2 days ago. Shares in Warner Brothers Discovery tanked Friday after the owner of CNN and HBO said it won't grow or profit as much as investors expected. Zaslav blamed additional and unexpected challenges in the business, which is his way of telling Wall Street that his predecessor left him a turd sandwich. It is common for executives to criticize their predecessors when they take over a new company. It buys them time to deliver results. Zaslav has turned it into an art form, repudiating Jason Kilar at every opportunity. Kilar wanted to make movies for streaming. Zaslav is all about movie theaters. Kilar took HBO out of Amazon's channels programming. Zaslav is going back into them. Kilar had a plan for DC. Zaslav wants a new one. I could go on, but analyst Rich Greenfield summed it up best this week. Not sure we have ever seen a company acquired and the new management jump all the prior management team's strategy as much as WB right now. Literally eviscerating everything the prior team did strategically. Full dismantling. Zaslav was always going to slash and burn. The newly combined company has 5 times more debt, about $50 billion, than it does profit, about $9 billion. Zaslav promised to trim $3 billion from the company's budget, which means firing thousands of staffers and cutting back on programming. The quote-unquote good news about the aforementioned challenges is that Zaslav has identified even more savings. Zaslav preempted the cuts by going on a listening tour of Hollywood. He met with top agents, executives, producers, and talent. He sat for glowing magazine profiles. He communicated his affection for what people do and promised to be a good partner. He also let everybody know he'd be making big changes. That honeymoon period is over now, and the cost cutting has begun. HBO Max canceled reality shows Craftopia and Baketopia and wiped them from the service. The company called Gordita Chronicles said it was going to stop funding live-action kids series. Just this week, Zaslav took 2 streaming movies with a combined budget of $130 million and opted to not release them at all. Batgirl wasn't irredeemable, as it was described to the New York Post. It needed work. If it were a Marvel movie, the studio would have spent weeks doing reshoots and made it better. WB Discovery didn't want to sink any more money into it. If it gets a tax break, it gets a tax break if it writes down assets within a certain time frame after consuming a merger. So it's already done so with $825 million worth of programming. More cutting is on the way. Zaslav will cut HBO Max's unscripted team because Discovery already makes reality TV. He will combine HBO Max and Discovery Plus into one service that has the award-winning scripting programming of HBO and the popular reality TV of Discovery. The move will cost many engineers and executives their jobs. That consolidation may also add a bit to the budget if they chose to rename HBO Max, which would require a marketing and rebranding campaign. That decision hasn't been made, though several employees put the odds at 50-50. Others said it was almost certain to be renamed. Zaslav is just doing what he thinks Wall Street wants to hear. The stock market has taken a turn for the worse at the time the growth of streaming services has slowed. This has spawned a new age of austerity in Hollywood. Zaslav hopes cutting costs to focus on profits will please his investors, and pleasing shareholders, especially John Malone, is one of his primary responsibilities. The company that hasn't worked so far. The company's stock is down almost 43% in just months. The S&P 500 is down about 10% over that span. Sidebar, it says here, Batgirl situation better or worse than the time AT&T floated making 10-minute episodes of Game of Thrones, which I think is a good place to stop here. So yeah, last week, as anybody watching is aware, we got the unfortunate news that Batgirl had been completely shelved. Jumping into reporting from the day of, DC has no plans to release its previously planned Batgirl movie in theaters or on the HBO Max streaming service, according to a new report published by The Wrap on Tuesday. The film, which wrapped production earlier this year, was originally set to be on HBO Max, but the recent rumors suggested that it could get a theatrical release, not unlike what they were planning to do with Blue Beetle. Everybody, watch out for Jaime. According to the Wrap's reporting, the budget of the film grew to $90 million amid shutdowns due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and the project is ultimately not regarded to be the kind of quote-unquote theatrical event that DC is looking to put out in the future. Still, the report indicates that the studio is actively planning, quote, to work with the film star Leslie Grace, as well as the directors Bill Al-Fallah and Adil Al-Arabi. We don't know when Batgirl is coming out. Al-Arabi previously revealed in a recent interview with the Insider, no one told us anything about tweaks, just to carry on. So yeah, Travis, I'm going to kick to you first, buddy.
It really sounds like I have a running theory about what happened. Right?
Okay, lay it on me.
That extends now beyond the original skit. I think this new exec team with this new CEO from Discovery walked into their first boardroom meeting, right?
Yeah.
And the calendar accidentally still said 2012. That is the only thing I can think of, right? That we've gone back this far in time. Imagine being a CEO of a media company that has spent the last 3 years adapting to both its heavy hitter DC having to change with time, right? Because your plan didn't work. You need to start doing something different in order to succeed.
Yeah.
And they started to do that on top of COVID and having to restructure what you make based around that and going, if we can't rely on the theater, we'll stay in-house. Genius, right? I can't rely on people going to the theater to see our movies, then we'll let them see them at home. Right? Regardless of your opinion on what that does to the theater experience and if it is going to do movie theaters in the future, which it hasn't. We've seen that now, right? That it was the absolutely correct move to make, and there was no reason to stop making it. And clearly you've never worked in this realm of media. If you're coming in going, nah, let me tell you, 2013, and that's your whole statement. Right? And that doesn't even begin to touch the yes, we can use the movie made by two Muslim men starring a brown woman. for the tax write-off, because that's worth more than the profit.
Yeah. Featuring our first like prominent trans character in a superhero movie. Yeah, that was this. Of course, we're going to use
Those
this
don't
one.
make money. It's 2012, Jared.
I know. You're right. You're absolutely right. It does feel incredibly backward in its execution here. I was stunned when I saw the original New York Post article, and I was like, "It's the fucking New York Post." But I got worried, and then like 10 minutes later, I saw what the Wrap had posted, and I was like, "Oh no!"
Yeah,
Realizing that it was real.
By the time I caught it, I think it had gotten to comicbook.com.
Yeah. Speaking
Like,
of, that was what we just read from here, Jenna Anderson.
And like I'm saving the big DC talk for when we dig a little deeper into that. But like,
Yeah.
you can't expect. What was obviously the tax write-off, and I keep having to remind myself of that. That like, of course, that was the reason, but the movie was done.
I mean, it still had to do like VFX and stuff, so it wasn't like completely done.
Yeah,
like it's not like Zaslav held up a hard drive with a full fucking movie on it and just
right.
chucked
Yeah,
it
yeah.
in the
I'm
river.
not. I'm not being a Twitter bot right now.
No, and I know you're not. I'm also just clarifying for the people at home because there has been some misunderstanding of this situation where people are going, "Oh, it was a fully finished movie they just threw out a window." No. Well, here's the thing. Allegedly, the test audiences, this had the same score as Black Adam.
Unsurprising. Well, that's first of all, it was just doing so poorly. Thankfully, I didn't see anyone saying that personally. My Twitter cosm is also so like condensed because I barely use Twitter, right? Like besides scrolling,
Yeah.
That when I see someone like I saw Alden do a thread about like, this is absurd. Anyone saying this is absurd, and I'm like, man, I'm glad I'm not him because I'm not seeing that at all.
Yeah.
That the movie is irredeemable and testing so negatively that no, it's not.
Well, I just, it's frustrating because, and I wanted to do almost an entire episode about what we learned about the true AI driven nature of the Snyder Cut movement. However, the flow of the news dictated otherwise. Where the three of them that actually exist, where are y'all right now? Like, I'm not about to advocate for Zaslav and company to be like viciously harassed on Twitter and shit. But like, where are the bus ads? Where's the airplane? Right? Like, where the fuck did y'all go? Now that the brown superhero directed by two Muslims featuring her transgender friend got shelved. Where is the hashtag release Batgirl movement? Oh, I forgot. You all worship some weirdo white dude who has like a boner for Ayn Rand. That's where y'all went. But no, it's incredibly frustrating. And it goes back to like, again, I don't dislike the Snyder Cut of Justice League. I think it is a fine bottle story of in a different universe that is very much like specific versions of these characters. And when I watch it like that, I enjoy it. But the fact that HBO Max and WB, and again, they were under different ownership and different leadership, and it was a different time, and we were still in a hotter moment of the pandemic. All of those things, I recognize that it was a different environment with which the Snyder Cut did eventually finally get released. What is incredibly frustrating is that people galvanized around that in a way that they're not doing for Batgirl, because it's always been about Zack Snyder's weirdo fucking vision and not actually doing anything with this universe and its characters. And like, so many people put their heart and soul into this, and it boggles my mind that one of the movies that involves Michael motherfucking Keaton's Batman, like DC's only real attempt at like the nostalgia member berry circle jerk bullshit, like the one thing that you'd think can sell no matter what, gets shelved. And I hate when people say shit like this, but and I can't say with any amount of precision and language here, but what I can say is that Batgirl was going to be introducing another member of the Bat family into live action. Like, there was a lot of shit in here people have been asking for years. A bigger live action Bat family, Keaton back as Bruce. We got more J.K. Simmons as Gordon. Like, this movie, would it have made Avengers Endgame money? Probably not. But it's a Bat person, and you market it with Batman in there. Like, it would have made money. Like, if you had released it in theaters instead of trying to focus on streaming. And even if you only focus on streaming, like, there is still potential there. Like, this is just so disappointing and insulting.
When I first saw that it got canceled, because I'd forgotten about Keaton's Batman being in the movie, I genuinely thought it had something to do with ties to the Flash. That with the Flash getting pushed back more and more, and Ezra continuing their live action GTA game, that they decided that they just had to shelve it. Because they're so committed to releasing that movie, which
again, that's not the one that gets shot in the face.
You want a tax write-off? That's a $300 million tax write-off.
It's right there. And again, WB is just scrambling. It's befuddling. Like you said, I feel like the payday for scrapping the Flash would have been more than Batgirl.
Absolutely. And getting it out of the way. People work really hard on the Flash, and I understand that. And
of course, yeah.
The same way with this movie. But
if you're gonna cancel something, why don't you cancel the one that has
the lead actor
America's
literally
most
charged with a
person.
felony? Yeah.
Not even 24 hours ago, Ezra Miller was charged with burglary in Vermont.
Felony burglary. That's
felony burglary.
Impressive. Impressive stuff.
I saw this thing on Twitter yesterday where it was Ezra Miller the moment they respawn in a new state, and it was the bit from the Snyder Cut was like, you got to break the rule, Barry, and you got to do it now. Before he did the scene that won that poll at the Oscars for the biggest stand-up and cheer moment in movie history. Wonder how that happened. Audio listeners, I'm doing the robot facetiously.
We already knew it happened, but now we know it was malicious.
It's just demoralizing. Like, we're talking about it, and I'm getting disappointed and angry again, because we can't not throw everything to the dogs at every moment. And again, Ezra Miller, charged felon. We still have that movie coming out. So yeah, there was also an earnings call that happened this past week. We're going to go with Alex Zalbin's Twitter thread, live tweeting about it. So the big thing that came of this with the announcement that we would be combining Discovery Plus and HBO Max. We have some fun little infographics here. I love this because this looks like a joke from a John Oliver episode. Hello, business daddy.
You know what you could have done with the money that you paid someone to make that infographic?
Release fucking Batgirl.
Yeah. Continue my Green Lantern show that you canceled. But at least I can understand that one. I didn't expect that one to ever make it anywhere anyway, but I could have hoped.
So I love this strong momentum.
Insane amount of content.
I love here where it's like actual praise. And here it's just stars from the Apple App Store, which are rounded up. Because it is actually 4.9 stars. But there's 5 here.
I can see there's a little bit of that 5th star that's not filled in. It's a little bit.
Oh yeah, I guess you're right.
It's like the little arm.
And yeah, it's a little...
That person on IGN is the only person that doesn't work at Discovery to have Discovery Plus. No one at Discovery uses Discovery Plus. And that's Zaslav's Apple review. And you can't convince me otherwise.
Yeah, so I've been trying to prepare myself to have to read this on air. I can't. So what we're going to do is HBO Max is going to have a male skew of scripted content. Lean in, whatever the fuck that means. Appointment viewing, the home of fandom. Where Discovery Plus is going to have, I legitimately feel like they just said 3 opposites for the first 3 for both of them. They just went they already decided we want guys to watch the movies with the guys with the guns and the superheroes and bazinga, right? Like, this is for the guys, and you girly girls can go watch my 600-pound 90-day fiance in the desert, right? Lean back, whatever the fuck that means. Comfort viewing, house of genre-dums. Shut the fuck up. This is fun. We got our brands, baby. We got HBO, we got Discovery, we got CNN, we got HGTV, we got Cartoon Network, DC Comics, and Looney Tunes, bitch. Franchises?
Where is my Food Network?
Franchises, we got Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, Shark Week, Game of Thrones, 90 Day Fiancé, and the Wizarding World of Harry Potter.
That's the Justice League right there.
These 7 things all have the same cultural weight. Iconic series and characters. Friends. Fixer Upper. The Big Bang Theory. Property Brothers. Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives.
Okay.
Sex and the City.
They've won me back. Guy Fieri always wins me back.
Okay.
Unrelated. Did I tell you about my HBO Max account getting hacked?
No.
I've had to change my password several times. They got into my account. My credit card's fine, or my debit card, whatever. right? Like my information, my personal information has not been taken. What this person has done is watched 8 seasons of Big Bang Theory on my HBO Max. As if trying to slander me.
Good work, Barnes. So with this, again, I want to know what robot that has not ever watched movies or TV before curated this, because the 3 in the middle here, this is just too new to call iconic. Maybe I'm biased. I've never heard of Fixer Upper.
No,
Granted, I don't watch HGTV, so maybe this is just doing bonkers ratings. Who likes The Big Bang Theory?
More people than I would give credit for, surprisingly.
I know, like, let me rephrase that. I know a lot of people who like The Big Bang Theory. I don't know a lot of people who fucking love The Big Bang Theory. Like I know people.
But everybody knows The Big Bang Theory.
I know people who would like kick down a door for something involving these 3. I know people who celebrate. I'm using my mouse to trace the logos of the DC Trinity in the franchises thing. I know people who treat Shark Week like a religious experience. Game of Thrones is coming back. Cool. 90 Day Fiance has developed like a cult following.
Hold on. I just noticed it says 90 Day Fiance
universe. Yeah.
How does 90 Day Fiance have a better extended universe than DC Comics?
Literally, the end of the next season is just going to be that guy from all the memes who doesn't have a neck. Just fucking. I'll do it myself. Like, that's what we can look forward to, everybody. Except it won't be an Infinity Gauntlet. It will be the mail order bride. I don't know. Anyway. Oh, God damn. Hold on. There we go.
He snaps and everyone gets paired up immediately. And you have 90 days to either kill your partner or marry them. You don't have any more time.
Well, again, continuing the like, I don't understand what this graphic means. And you know what? I didn't get to listen to the entirety of the investors call. I didn't get to listen to any of it. I just saw some clips. So if I'm missing context here and anybody wants to correct me, feel free to comment and I will amend next week. But the longer I look at this, the more frustrated I become, because I am convinced that the Trinity symbols here exist solely to fill space. Because you could have just as easily had like your brands, your franchise is DC Comics. Now, sure, Batman is its own franchise. Sure. Y'all are pushing it by having a Superman logo in there, though. Because we've only seen Superman from the neck up once in the last like 5-6 years. And that was filmed in fucking 2016. So it doesn't count. So this is kind of perplexing to me. I also, again, the brands also slightly confusing because it's like channel channel, 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 thing we own, thing we own. So like this isn't entirely consistent or makes a whole lot of sense to me either.
This
Right?
gets more confusing. To fast forward a little bit, when discussing the plan for DC, they refer to Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman as brands to be pushed. Like that is exact verbiage.
Well, speaking of the 10-year plan, hop on in here. This is from Timothy Adams per Comic Book. Warner Bros. Discovery teases 10-year plan for DC. There is a 10-year plan for DC films, according to Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav. Warner Bros. Discovery held its Q2 2022 earnings call on Thursday morning when HBO Max and Discovery Plus will merge, as announced, into one service along with subscriber numbers for all its products. There was much interest in the fate of DC films, considering the decision to shelve the release of Batgirl on HBO Max. Zaslav addressed the future of DC during a Q&A session where he revealed Warner Brothers has a 10-year plan for the heroes and villains of the DC universe. Quote, our ambition is to bring Warner Brothers back to produce great high-quality films as we look at the opportunities that we have broadly. DC is one of the top of the list for us, Zaslav explained. You look at Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman. These are brands that are known everywhere in the world. The ability to drive those all over the world with great story is a big opportunity for us. We have done a reset. We've reconstructed the business. We're going to focus. Zaslav then went on to detail how DC films will mirror the progress of Marvel Studio Kevin Feige has accomplished with their competitor. There will be a team with a 10-year plan focusing on just DC. It's very similar to the structure that Alan Horn and Bob Iger put together very effectively with Kevin Feige at Disney. We think that we could build a long-term, much stronger, sustainable growth business out of DC. And as part of that, we're going to focus on quality. We're not going to release any film before it's ready. We're not going to release a film to make a quarter. We're not going to release a film unless the focus is going to be put on how do we make each of these films in general as good as possible. But DC is something that we think we could make better, and we're focused on it now. We have some great films coming up, Black Adam, Shazam, and The Flash, and we're working on all of those. We're excited about them. So, which brings us to, and again, I wish I had music to play, because I wish we could just have like the you had your entire universe. WB owns all of DC Comics. Marvel built the MCU in a cave with a box of scraps. Quite literally. All of their heavy hitters were at a different motherfucking studio, and they could not use them. The X-Men, Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four, household names, and all of the characters that fall under that umbrella. And they cobbled together a multi-gajillion-dollar franchise with characters who were either so mired by other movies and like already existed in the pop cultural zeitgeist in the realm of like one mid movie and like the iconic TV show that like has not aged well, but the show is still great with the Hulk, to characters who in theory never should have worked in live action, like Cap, like Thor. They made it work. And again, Marvel, the MCU, is not perfect. You know, like, yes, they plan stuff out, but Kevin Feige also didn't know the day they were making Iron Man that it was all going to end fighting Thanos. Like somewhere between Kevin Feige being like this Batman level master strategist to create this cinematic universe and they make it up as they go. It exists somewhere between those two things. I know that something that isn't either of one or two poles is hard for the internet to wrap its mind around, but it exists in the middle. And again, I don't expect DC and WB Discovery to have the ability to in one day crank this shit out and knock it out of the park. But Jesus God, like, you have this Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, and you somehow fumbled the bag in 2.5 movies. And I don't want to confirm anything yet, but we're going to be having a guest on to talk about their very specific DC pitch soon, and I look forward to that. But that is neither here nor there. Travis, you're rearing up to say something while I scream.
So the thing that I love about this whole situation, right, is you get to watch incompetence on, like, at the highest level on full display. Because what these people don't understand, because these aren't art people, right? These aren't movie people. These aren't people invested in stories. They will say that to get your attention. But if you look deeper into what they're saying, they're not going to release a movie to make a quarter. They know it's money. Everything involved here is a transaction, right? Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, whatever, aren't characters to be used to make art. They are brands to make money. And I'm not saying that Disney and Marvel are some, like, higher than thou. Well, they didn't do that, so they got it right. But they understood that, like, the creative process was just as important a part of making these movies profitable as making them in the first place.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I don't even know if I'll give it that much of, like, a full-throated support myself, but, like, at the very least they didn't just say it publicly. Like, at the very least they kept
couldn't.
like this veneer. At least they kept this fucking veneer of, like, oh, we're making movies, we're making art, like, we're doing things people like. With this one, it's like it's like you're talking to some business major and they go, sell me this coaster.
Yeah.
Sell me this coaster. No. Sell me Batman. Sell me Batman. Like, that's what we're getting with this. Like, I at least Marvel pretends to give a shit, And I know
because
that
they were inventing.
Yeah.
They were literally inventing the sell on the spot. That's the thing, right? They couldn't do that dumb bullshit because they were figuring it out as they went. Like, the MCU marketing like structure, right? That everyone now needs to base themselves on, that now this new CEO thinks they need to base on, that DC thought they needed to use in 2012, right? Literally, I think one of the big things for the MCU was that the MCU wasn't a thing. So as they were figuring out, like,
nothing
okay,
to, like, arbitrarily compare itself to,
it just is, right? And then you look and you're like, okay, so we have all these people making their individual movies with one creative head overseeing, some level of production to homogenize to the point where we can start overlapping these films. No, they don't understand the creative hook there, right? Because someone like, his name is Zaslav, right? I'm not going to keep saying the wrong name.
Yeah, you're right.
Zaslav looks and just sees movies that cross over do well. We need to do that. Just like everybody did after Avengers came out. Right?
Yeah.
And so now he's going, well, we just have to come up with a plan for the next 10 years where all our movies cross over. It's so easy. And then we just have to make the movies good. That's literally what he said. It's like, okay, what if we made good movies for 10 years? Profit. Cheers. We did it, yeah.
Sensational.
And he says that with 2 probably like B- to B+ Shazam related movies, and a movie starring a soon to be convicted felon right behind him.
Plus, Aquaman is mired in controversy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. Aquaman. I forgot Aquaman 2 existed. To be honest.
We're just gonna pretend, the fucking Flash TV show is ending.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They're getting cut early.
Yeah, they're only getting like a
their
13
season's
episode
ending.
run. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's crazy out here. And then on top of all of it, what did we get last week? While all of this is happening, we get actual confirmation about Joker 2 co-starring Lady Gaga. Although I haven't seen anything official say that she's playing Harley Quinn. So I'm just going to not say that until we know for sure. But yeah,
I can't imagine she's not, if she's, if they're touting her as like in a leading role with Joaquin Phoenix, right?
it's just so maddening. And what do you do? Again, I'm looking forward to the guest I plan to have on soon. I'm going to vamp here for a second to shout them out. Because I was able to reach out to them on Instagram, as I follow them on TikTok and absolutely love their content. I hate that word so much. One moment. I got to dig through here.
No, you're fine. I just
Yeah,
make good movies. Does he think? Does every CEO in Hollywood think that Kevin Feige had a decade's worth of movies stored in his brain?
I think they did. I truly do at this point. Also, it is Mr. Radtastic who has videos that just trickle onto my For You page every so often, where he's like, in my DC cinematic universe, this is how I would do blank. And if they are going to be rebranding and everything, I say they hire this man for their 10-year plan, because clearly they need one. And here's my other thing that boggles my mind. How are you going to talk about a 10-year plan in the same breath that you mention movies that are coming out in an already muddied cinematic universe? Like, buddy, I love Momoa. I like Zach Levi as Barry, or as Shazam rather, and maybe we hire less felons who are actively committing violent crime, but they got to go. You got to start over. You just have to start over. You don't have a Superman.
But
you don't have Superman.
But Henry Cavill's coming back. He's coming back, right? Tell me he's coming back.
I don't think I can. So yeah, that's what's going on right now.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. DC doesn't need, and I know everyone wants it. That's all I've seen, right? I'm sticking to my guns. I think the smartest move DC could have made going forward was leaning into one-offs and small multi-part stories, right? If you're going to lean into streaming and you're going to lean into telling stories with lesser used characters,
lean in.
Oh, right.
I'm leaning in.
Yeah, you're engaged.
I'm leaning
You
in.
you only engage with half the content.
I'm waiting for
You
you to
know,
start talk about Discovery Plus so I can lean back.
I want to die. But like movies like The Batman are so good they don't need a universe around it. And DC is so good at dropping you in to an I've said this so many times, right? Like part of the fun of going into a DC project is figuring out where you are in the DC timeline
Yeah.
and getting to play with like those Easter eggs that you get to put into your story. Just have that be your thing. Make a live action all-star Superman and adapt it to live action and do whatever you want with that. Um make a live action Court of Owls movie. And you get to play with has he been with each Robin yet? Has the Justice League started? Like we're at
You're
that
right.
point.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I am still a proponent of I want a DC cinematic universe. Because I love those characters so much more when they all get to interact with each other. Like for me, I have an easier time enjoying Marvel stuff in a vacuum. I enjoy DC stuff when everyone's hanging out. And I want to be able to have that. And I want to be able to have that brought to life. And what we've gotten so far, is frustrating because we don't need to relitigate how we feel about Zack Snyder for the 18 millionth time. But I don't want that. I don't want that for my Superman. I don't want that for any of these characters that I love. And I don't know. It's just frustrating. And they say they have a 10-year plan, but they're also full steam ahead with all of these movies that are either mired in controversy or trying to, I don't know, pin the entire DC universe on the fucking rock.
Yeah.
Because he wants to play a C-lister that he read about before. Like it's frustrating. And I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I have a hard time getting like super excited for a lot of this stuff. I said before that if they were gonna try to cinematic universify all of this, that starting with the Batman wouldn't be a bad idea at this point. And I know that not everybody wants that, but at this point, let them have it. I'd rather see it happen that way at this point. And that
My
just
other
be
issue,
our unofficial Iron Man.
my other issue with extended universifying DC, I just don't think it works as well as Marvel. Or at least it doesn't work in the way that they want it to work, but also how Marvel has worked, if that makes sense. And I know it doesn't. But what is the one thing about the MCU that has felt for obvious reasons, but has felt slightly off? It's Spider-Man. Because Spider-Man has to exist in its own vacuum, both creatively because of Sony, but also from a story standpoint, Spider-Man has the most built-up rogues gallery of any character we've seen.
Yeah.
Right? And part of Spider-Man's thing is the villain of the week who's trying to kill the Spider-Man this week.
Yeah.
That a lot of DC characters have, right? Like Batman's rogues gallery. You have Superman's rogues gallery that take time to build up. And you can't just kill off all their villains at every turn. That's how the MCU's got away with this. They started with all these C-lister at the time heroes, which meant their villains didn't matter. We don't need Ironmonger to stick around for 18 movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't kill off Mr. Freeze in the first Batman movie. You can't let Brainiac die, like actually die, at the end of your second Superman movie. Like, you can't do that.
Yeah. Or at the very
Sinestro
least, you
can't
use
fight.
villains who can like feasibly like quote unquote die like a Brainiac, you know. But like that Sinestro example was perfect. Like you're an idiot if you have Sinestro show up in the Green Lantern movie and then kill him.
Yeah.
Because then you can't do everything that you need to do with Sinestro.
And then you have the very diametrically opposed forces of, we want to make these movies with fully fleshed out stories that require on their face you to skip crucial parts of the build-up, right? If we want a full story of the Batman fighting the Joker, he can't be becoming the Batman, right? Like, if you want a full story of these two, or the Rogues Gallery build-up, you take your pick. If you want a deep dive of these characters going at each other, he can't be becoming the Batman. He can't be meeting Robin for the first time. You can't waste screen time on that. You have 2.5 hours, right?
Yeah.
But also, you can't just drop in and have him already be on Tim Drake. Because the fans, and I'm guilty of this, I want to see him meet Tim Drake. I want to see him grab Dick from the Flying Graysons accident and be like, we're going to go solve your parents' murder, kid. Right?
I'm clipping that. I want to see him grab Dick.
You're welcome. Like, we want to see the first time that Clark wears the cape. We want to see Wonder Woman get the lasso of truth, right? We want to see these building moments because those moments sell. But we also want these fully fleshed out movies with stories that do not have time for it.
Yeah. You're right.
It is frustrating.
It is.
I just want to enjoy DC things, and I cannot do that. And it makes me sad.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Because you never know, like when the next shoe is going to drop, when the carpet's going to get pulled out from under you. So yeah, fun stuff, everybody. I think that's all we have this week.
I think so.
All right. Well, Travis, where can the lovely people find you and all that you do aside from us screaming about everything?
Crying on Twitter at Travis Political, where I will continue. Although, to be fair, I haven't tweeted much. My interaction with this stuff has basically been boiled down to, I wait till I see someone that I get riled up thinking about it again, and they'll comment on their thing. Like, I commented on a Straw Hat Goofy TikTok.
Yeah.
Which, like, if you think my engagement on Twitter is bad, I do not use TikTok. Well, I don't like things and comment very often. And
I don't know how these apps function with you. I don't understand how they just don't just go every time you open them, because I don't know what to show you.
That's how you get the weird shit on TikTok, so it works. But like, and you saw me reply to somebody on Twitter that Bibbs retweeted, right?
Yeah, I think I did.
But, like, I've been screaming this for a week now. I'm pointing to my name on the StreamYard thing, right?
Yeah.
We got a movie lineup in 2015. Like, we got a full DC confirmed lineup.
God, I can't remember. I can't believe that happened. And like
we were supposed to get the Cyborg movie 2 years ago. We were supposed to get a Cyborg solo movie. Nowhere in that 10-year plan was another Justice League movie, by the way, to my recollection. It was all individual projects for a decade.
I'm just defeated.
Jared,
Yeah.
where?
Maybe I'll walk out of here tomorrow and you never see me again. That's really what I want to do.
I bet you do.
We might actually never see him again. Just, dude, that trial turned me into a policy wonk. I'll tell you what.
Dead ass?
I've listened to a good bit of Knowledge Fight in the past like week and a half.
That makes me very happy. It makes me very, very happy. I hope you know that.
Like, we're on the cusp of him like doing things that I won't say for the sake of engagement.
This whole past weekend, my girlfriend and I have randomly just looked at each other, and one of us will just start going, Mr. Jones, did you know that 12 days ago, your attorney sent me an entire digital copy of your cell phone and every single text you've sent over the last 2 years, and that's how I know you lied to me. Like it. They put it perfect.
Mr. Jones, do you know what perjury is?
Oh, that's her favorite part. That's her favorite part. At any moment, you can plead the fifth. I need you to know that. Like, borderline pornographic. Borderline pornographic. Did you listen to Knowledge Fight yesterday?
Yes.
The story, and I said it a trillion times. Everybody here, go follow. Did you know? I didn't know this until a couple weeks ago. DJ Danarchy, the guy who does their theme music, follows me on TikTok.
You mentioned that.
And it stunned the shit out of me when I saw that. I was like, isn't that cool? DJ Danarchy, if you ever end up over here, I love you. No, that story Mark told at the end about his kid got me. Like I was bringing groceries in, and I was crying. It was really moving. If any of you have the stomach for it, and I bring it up all the time, Knowledge Fight, incredible podcast. They have done the best, most comprehensive coverage of Alex Jones. And it's something that comes up every now and again, and especially in the wake of everything that's happened this past week. I just want to reiterate, when you guys see us playing clips of Jones, it's in mockery. He's a bad man who does not deserve to be taken seriously as a journalist. He needs to be taken seriously as a threat to society. But to minimize him is to almost protect him. And I highly suggest Knowledge Fight to anybody who is even remotely invested in learning more about this rat bastard and how he operates. And the fact that even in whatever small way they did, Dan and Jordan played a role in bringing Alex Jones to his knees in court. So it's beautiful. But thank you. I say that because I'm about to play another Alex Jones clip. Oh yeah, Dark Jedi 2552. I can't remember if I said it. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on our website, www.thenerdacademypodcast.com, where, if you're feeling generous, you can donate to our Patreon.
Give me $1.
Alex is going to have to start playing that at the beginning of every broadcast. Speaking of our patrons, thank you to our $10 alumnus, Nick Johnson, Keandre Lloyd, and to our lovely friend Paco. or as he's going by on our Patreon, Taylor Swift.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
That's about to become rare media, everybody. Just keep your eyes on that. Like I said, guys, we're going to be coming back here soon with a cool episode with Mr. Radtastic from TikTok. I've been talking to him for a minute. We're hopefully going to try to get that ironed out to come out next week. Maybe, maybe not. We will see what happens. Obviously, we'll be covering She-Hulk. Spencer and I's schedule has finally freed up, so we're going to be knocking out some Versus series like back to back to back here, and just banking those up for you guys. I'm going to talk to Devin here soon. There was I'm not going to air his shit out in the street, but his grandmother fell ill, and that is why Movie Club was put on hold. So that will be back at some point. You know, I'm not trying to rush Devin back into the saddle, obviously. So, you know, send well wishes his way, please. But yeah, we'll be back. And yeah, maybe DC will not be a clusterfuck next time we talk. I'm kidding. It will be forever. So, oh yeah, buy our merch. Where's the goddamn clip? I just got so demoralized at the end here that I like completely ran out of gas.
T-shirtpublic.com.
And then that just reminded me that the showdown's over. So, bye, guys.
Stop. Move away from the cookie jar.